Ajahn, where is our mind?
Well, the mind, yeah. Where is the mind? Anybody out there looking or carefully? You know where your mind is? When you're listening to me, I'll give you a clue. Your mind is in your ear. And when you're watching me, it's no longer in your ear, it's in your eye. So you see, the mind is nowhere, and it's everywhere. It arises wherever there's sensation. Right now, if you're feeling the weight of your body, then the mind is in your body. If you have a feeling, an emotion, then your mind is over there. If you're following a thought, then your mind is in your thought.
Where does happiness come from?
What's your idea of happiness? What's your definition of happiness? Is it a condition that you can hold and embrace for an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours? Or is it something that arises and passes very, very quickly? Well, you really can't call that happiness unless you want to call it happiness with a small h. The real happiness that we can get out of life is in the knowing. We're built that way. We're built in a way that the knowing faculty, the ability to see things in the present moment, that's where we can get happiness. But it's not the kind of happiness with kind of this great bliss and joy jumping around, because every time we indulge in that kind of happiness, we end up on the other end of the cycle, which is depressed and searching for more happiness. And most people live their life like that. They get a little taste of happiness and they think that there's something out there, there's some way that they're going to be able to maintain a constant state of happiness. And they keep overlooking the fact that the situation of searching itself is an intense suffering. And the happiness we get is so fleeting that's not worth the bother. So that's why I personally decided to live a life that supersedes that kind of happiness. It's an experiment. One becomes so dissatisfied with a kind of conventional, mundane happiness that they're willing to go out and get out on a limb in order to find out, is there any happiness that's more sustainable than this, more satisfying. So this is the track that I've taken my life, and I found in my own experience there is a happiness with an H, a capital H. There's a happiness that transcends the kind of mundane happiness of a good meal, some entertainment, sensual pleasures. There's a happiness in just knowing the present moment. And it's a happiness you have to experience in order to know. And it's a happiness that we can't even talk about, because in the present moment there's nobody there. Look for yourself. When you're present, are you there? No. The idea of who you are evaporates.
Some people think that maybe monks or people who are living a monastic life are dropping out, kind of getting out of the mainstream because they couldn't take it. So how does living a monastic life actually contribute to the betterment of the world?
Well, the first part of your question, sometimes I talk facetiously about the real world. People will be here and we'll talk and have dialogue around Dhamma, around spiritual questions, and then I start looking at the clock. I said, well, you've got to get out there to the real world. And this is in order to probe them into finding out for themselves, where is the real world? Is the real world out there? Is the real world working in some job that you find not very satisfying for 8 or 10 hours a day, commuting another 2 hours, and then coming home and fighting with your wife or your husband for another 2-3 hours and watch a little TV and go to sleep? Is that the real world? Well, personally, I haven't, as I said, I just see this in a kind of a funny way, that people can be so misguided as to think that what they're doing is so important, and then when we break it down, we find out what they're doing is really of no real consequence.
People who blame other people, my life wouldn't be this way if it wasn't for this. What is this blaming? Is it a way to run away from accepting the fact that we are responsible?
Well, it comes back to the theme that we've been talking about this morning, the idea that people are searching for happiness, they're looking for happiness, and if anything that's an obstacle to their idea of happiness becomes an enemy to them, and is something that they're going to blame for impeding this happiness that they're sure is out there. These are people who haven't investigated the situation very carefully. I guarantee you, if you investigate and you look around, the happiness that you're hoping you could find, a kind of happiness that goes from one sensual moment of delight to the next sensual moment of delight, a kind of indefinite kind of stream of happiness, is impossible. Actually, the thing that's the continuous stream is unhappiness. And whether it's an unhappiness in a great kind of traumatic way, or just the kind of little unhappiness of not quite getting what we want, or that there's a worm in the ointment in every mind moment. Just something isn't quite right. The best meal you've ever had in your life just wasn't quite right. The best movie you ever saw was great, but it still wasn't quite right. It wasn't perfect. As long as you have this idea in your mind that something has to be perfect, then you're always going to be striving for this one perfect moment of music, this one perfect moment of entertainment, and this whatever. It's hopeless.
It's hopeless to look for any sustainable happiness in this world.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because it's
I don't know about your life, but it's been right in mine. Where can you find sustainable happiness if there's nobody really here? You have to get down to the bottom, to right at the base level, the foundation of the whole situation, of our whole kind of predicament, in striving and scheming and struggling to find a kind of happiness for somebody who doesn't even exist. Is that absurd? Or is it ironic? Or is it just the melodrama of life which we call ordinary? Take your pick.